We're on camera. It's 4 p.m. We're redeveloping news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. It's a Friday. Here's some stories you're watching this
7-11.
Friday, July 11. The Philippine Coast Guard discovers more sacks during their diving operations at Taal Lake in Laurel, Batangas. The sacks were found near a fish cage where the bodies of missing sabongeros were reportedly dumped. It is not yet clear if the sacks contain human remains or even bones, similar to the one found yesterday.
The Department of Migrant Workers says that 3 more Filipino crew members have been rescued from the ill-fated MV Eternity Sea that sank in the Red Sea after a Houthi attack. This brings the total number of survivors to 8, while 3 Filipinos have been confirmed dead and 10 others remain missing. The DMW has suspended the license of the manning agency responsible for deploying the crew.
The PAGCOR has ordered the immediate removal of all gambling billboards and advertisements, including those on public transport. Licensees must comply by August 15 and submit ad inventories by July 16. For its part, the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center has given social media influencers until today, June 11, to remove posts promoting illegal online gambling. Failure to comply will prompt the CICC to work with platforms to remove the content directly. The agency will also send letters to influencers and platform operators requesting explanations to avoid legal action.
And the Office of the Ombudsman has ordered the filing of graft and falsification charges against former DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones, former PSDBM Chief Lloyd Christopher Lao, and several other former officials. This is over the 2.4 billion peso procurement of overpriced laptops in 2021. The Ombudsman also ordered the filing of a perjury case against Lao, former DepEd Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla, and former PSDBM OIC Jason Mer Uwayan. Also, the palace has confirmed that President Bongbong Marcos will be in Washington, D.C. from July 20 to 22.
Pina-finalize po kasi yung detalye. At sinabi ko nga po, kino-confirm po, hindi ko po dinideny, kino-confirm po ang pagbisita po ng ating Pangulo at sa US, July 20 to 2020. Tama, 22. July 20 to 22. Pero po, confirm. Pero po, yung ano yung detalye na pag-uusapan, ang DFA na po ang magbibigay sa inyo.
This follows the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's statement that Marcos will visit America, quote-unquote, in a few days. Before this, the palace announced that a trade delegation will fly to the U.S. next week to strike a better deal after President Donald Trump increased tariffs on the Philippines to 20%. Rubio also says that the U.S. is open to negotiations over the new tariff rates imposed on Asian countries, including the Philippines. He added that Southeast Asian nations will still have relatively favorable tariff rates compared to others globally.
And joining us today on a Friday, the weekend coming up, of course, we have Storycon's resident political heckler, Tito Ronald Llamas.
Good afternoon sa ating lahat. Happy weekend!
Happy weekend!
Happy weekend! No? Happy ka ba, Principal?
Friday, of course.
Talaga, Principal.
Long time no see,
Oo nga. I didn't see you. Kahapon lang naman. Kahapon I didn't see you. And my day was so peaceful.
Magkasama kasi silang kaninang dalawa ng umaga.
Oo nga.
Anniversary po. 9th anniversary ng ating historic victory sa UNCLOS.
The Arbitral Award
Arbitral
ruling.
Award against China doon sa kanilang 9-dash line.
We were at a forum hosted by the Strat-based group. Okay, and also from the Philippine Star, we've got, of course, Editor-in-Chief Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami.
Afternoon,
Hi.
Ami.
Kakulay.
Hi, happy 7-Eleven, everybody.
7-Eleven.
Napaka-juicy ng kulay mo. Parang,
juicy?
Parang
Yan,
kalamansi. Parang, mas mo kulay kalamansi, oh. Oh.
7-Eleven
Kulay
eh.
pang Friday, no? Pang cocktails yung dating
Oo,
na.
parang kalamansi.
Kalamansi. Parang lemon. Labo.
Diba, tingnan mo, kulay kalamansi, oh.
Iba talaga how your brain works, no?
What would you have thought, di ba?
Nagugutom na yan kasi merienda time na naghahanapin ng palabok
Oh,
na malalagyan ng kalamansi.
Ayun
Oo
pala
nga,
yun.
sabagay,
Pala yung
sabagay.
connection.
Yan yan.
Yung pala yung
oo.
connection. Hindi ko kagad na-gets eh.
Kanina kasi,
Gumagano
yung
pa ako
lunch namin ni Reg, walang pasta eh.
wala nga.
Walang
Inamusta
Oh,
na ba
yan,
yung
oh,
lunch?
kaya nga.
Oo, inamutan ko.
It wasn't bad naman. Pero wala lang nga pala po.
Manila Polo Club, dapat excellent. Hindi yung,
Polo Club ba?
dapat sabi mo, it wasn't bad enough. Dapat hindi gano'n.
Oh, it has to be...
Delicious. Yun,
Okay.
Awesome. Mga
Dapat-
Teka, nagbayad
But
ba
we have to
kayo?
raise the bar.
Superlative,
Kaya nga,
diba?
hindi naman kami
Nagbayad.
nagbayad.
Ba't nagreklamo kayo? Lakas ng loob nyo.
Siya lang.
Para kay mga media ng gatid ng press ko, nasulan mo kayo nilabas. Nagreklamo ka sa pagkain.
Excuse me, Ed, siya lang. For me, it was okay. For me, I was happy.
Di ba?
Dahil-
Para mga media ng gatid ng press ko, tapos nagreklamo sa pagkain.
Kaya nga eh.
Hindi
Nakita
naman
ko
yung sikat sa lugar na yun for food.
Oo nga naman.
Talagang pang-meeting lang yun.
Pangkabayo lang yung ano.
Nakita ko si Reg, parang nakabukan bibig. Odd siya sa mga inputs. No? Dami niya natutunan.
At the conference, at the
Kwentuhan
forum.
nyo kami, ano yung mga input.
Well, the usual. So in the mornings,
The usual.
Hindi, because we attend
Pahirap
these
agad.
forums. These are regular forums that the strat-based group
Yeah.
holds, right? And as usual, they had a string of ambassadors delivering keynote speeches over the South China Sea Arbitral Award. And of course, everyone talks
Yeah.
about reaffirming their support for the Philippines and maintaining peace, stability, rules-based order, freedom of navigation. So there were no curveballs or
No
anything
surprises?
out of
Nothing,
the
ano?
ordinary.
Well, yung documentary, pinakita partly. Yung nanalo sa New
After na-
Zealand.
in the
Yeah,
afternoon
in the
na.
afternoon,
So-
after lunch.
but with
Yun yung bago.
Oh, yun lang yung bago. But in the morning, with the ambassadors, and then marami sila. We had a group photo with all the ambassadors that were present there. Ayun, this is the final. It was the group photo amongst the ambassadors, and it's all the usual allies: Australia, the UK, Japan, France, EU, Vietnamese. The Vietnamese ambassador was also there. He also delivered a speech.
The U.S. ambassador, was she there?
The U.S. ambassador was there, si Mary Kay Carlson, who is of course on her way out. So is the UK and the Australian ambassadors. So
Yeah.
they're also on the way
Maraming
out.
palabas na.
Maraming nag-graduate na. But in any case, these and then there's many countries from the EU also there that were represented. So these are all the countries that were showing their support, continued support for the Philippines' arbitral award ruling 9 years ago. Can you believe it's been 9 years? Ang bilis din, no?
So, 3 original members of the delegation.
Sino?
So, close na nun. Si former EU Ambassador Bataclan. Andun si former Armed Forces Chief of Staff Bautista. No? And of course, yours truly.
So is it
Okay
So,
ba?
so
Or may segue?
Ronald, ano yung nakikita mo 9 years after, apart from, of course, the expressions of support from more countries, ano yung pagbabago ngayon? Nagbago ba yung, parang lalong naging mas malakas yung impunity ng China ngayon, 9 years after? Ano bang tingin mo sa nangyari
Well,
sa
may
situation ngayon?
Well, merong counting, ang tawag nila, agreement which wasn't an agreement. Yung sa Yungin, di ba? Yung resupply.
Okay.
Yun. Although sa other parts
Yes.
ay medyo tense. Halimbawa, yung Sandy K 1, 2, and 3. Kung maging successful ang China yan, i-elevate nila yung, yung by dumping corals and sand. Pag tumaas yan, pwedeng mag-claim yan ng territorial water and then it's on easy.
Pero
Kaya
it
tingin ko
really is a high tide elevation. It really is a high tide
Yeah.
elevation.
Yes,
As
pero
per-
medyo kulang pa. No? Kulang pa.
Baka ano rin pa, no?
Paano kailangan sabihin na it can supply life? Yun yung isang kwan dyan.
Pero wala namang
To be
ganung,
considered,
structure sa...
Na-underestimate mo ang China.
Okay. Hindi sa
Ayan,
What kind of
by way
life
of
are we
enforcement
talking
of the
about?
ruling, may pagbabago ba from 9 years? More compliance with the ruling? Meron bang ikaw nakikitang pagbabago? Significant
Well, yung
pagbabago?
global support, Ami. Yung global support, tingin ko lumalaki. Yung global, dahil hindi lang ito issue ng West Philippine Sea. Issue ito ng freedom of navigation dun sa high seas. Na kung saan, sabi nila, 30 to 40% ng global trade dumadaan. No? So, significant yan. For now, hindi pa naman nahaharangan yan. Kahit may claims. Yung ikatlo na issue is Taiwan. Medyo kung sa atin yan, medyo mahalaga dahil almost 250,000 Pilipino OFWs ang nagtatrabaho
Yeah.
ron. Diba? Kung sakali magkaroon ng gulo, na tingin ko may happen in the next 1 to 2 years. Dahil yung survival ni Xi Jinping as the leader of the Chinese Communist Party ay nakatali dun sa makukuha ba niya ang Taiwan. Or else,
Yeah.
magkakaroon ng power struggle. So, ibig sabihin, yan yung tatlong issue. West Philippine Sea, nananalo tayo. Yung freedom of navigation sa South China Sea, tapos yung Taiwan.
Yeah. I agree. In terms of yung, this is not just a regional issue. Because yun din sinabi ni Dean Dumanhit, no, who's the founder and chair of Strat-Based Group. He said this is not just a regional or local issue. This is a global responsibility. We're talking about upholding rule of law here, right? And it does seem, kaya ako bringing up yung picture of the ambassadors, is it does seem like there is growing support, right, for the Philippines in terms of this issue. I mean, I was talking to the French defense attaché on the side, and he said, for instance, na nagpo-progress naman daw yung talks with France on the visiting forces agreement, right? Hindi lang makakommit kailan to masasign, pero that would make it, but talks are ongoing, and if ever that would make it what, the 6th VFA/RAA that the Philippines has, which is, you know, considering that we're a relatively small country, is I think pretty impressive.
Yeah, nagda-diversify tayo ng ating security network. Dati kasi basically US at
lang,
Australia.
Japan,
no?
right?
Ngayon,
Traditional. Yeah.
Halimbawa, yung Europe, yung France, for the first time, nagpadala ng aircraft carrier dito earlier this year. Tapos, nagpo-propose na bumili tayo sa kanila ng fighter jets.
Correct.
Which is better than dun sa F-16 na bibilin daw natin. Tapos, alam ko yung Osea, yung isang boat company sa France, ay merong order for about 20 to 30 boats para sa ating Coast Guard. Ganon din sa Japan. No? May usap pa nga for submarines. Although very complicated yon dahil to train submariners will take 8 to 10 years.
Yes.
No? Tsaka medyo technical.
Yung kanina, yung meeting nyo, nandun ba yung Taiwan representative?
Wala.
Hindi iniimbita yun.
Kasi because we don't have diplomatic relations with Taiwan.
That will be
technically.
very provocative. Dahil for now, officially, one China
Hindi
policy
po ba
pa
kayo
rin tayo.
nagpo-provoke na?
Ako hindi ako provocative. Hindi ko alam si Reg. Ako hindi ako nagpo-provoke. No?
Si Ami nagtanong, ako yung provocative.
I can see your point
Tinanong
about
ko yung mga
provoke
Taiwanese.
to.
Remember, Taiwan ang unang-unang nag-file niyang yung 9-dash line na yan eh.
Oo, sa kanila nang galing
Tinanong ko
yan.
sila what do you think of the arbitral ruling? Ang sabi sa akin ng foreign minister nila, hindi naman kami kinonsulta.
Oo.
Yan lang,
Hindi
yun
naman
lang.
yung Taiwan ang
Ano sila?
nag-propose yan, Bok. That was the Kuomintang when it was still China.
China.
Sila yung representative ng China.
After the
And
Civil War.
they did not withdraw it, ha?
After the Civil
Hindi
War.
nila wini-withdraw yan.
So with the French, don't forget, sumasali na rin sila sa MCA, the Maritime
Yes.
Cooperative Activity na dati, usually only US, Japan, Australia would join. But lately, the French are also participating. And the sense on the ground is baka this might also encourage the other European nations, right?
Kaya nga sabi ko dati, nung na-meet ko si Macron, February last year, sa La Rotonde sa Paris, alam mo, ang una niyang binanggit, itong West Philippine Sea. Ibig sabihin, heads of state are taking note dito sa labanan na ito. Partly dahil sa ating victory, na pati sila nagulat. Yung UNCLOS na sabi ni Tigong is just a piece of paper. No. Ikalawa ay yung freedom of navigation. No. Dahil gusto rin nila mag-scale up dito sa Asian region. No. Ang isang...
May pangatlo pa, Ronald. Nararamdaman na rin yung mga economists na yan, yung economic coercion ng China.
Yes.
And they are protesting about it.
Yes.
Yes, pero sa ASEAN, tayo lang talaga yung pinaka-aggressive in terms of calling for a code of conduct. Tayo yung medyo naniningil sa China.
Yeah.
All the others, meron silang bilateral, pero ayaw nilang gawing ASEAN yung negotiations for now. No? Ang Vietnam...
Kasi yung mga island natin yung kinukuha eh. Yung sa kanila, ilan-ilan lang naman.
Tsaka
Konti
sila
lang yun, yung
mga
sa
non-coastal
Indonesia.
countries kasi...
At saka sila,
Tsaka sila, halimbawa, Malaysia, they're drilling. At kahit galit yung China, pinagpapatuloy nila. Ganon din ang
Vietnam.
Ang Vietnam, they're drilling.
Yes.
Di ba? Oil and natural gas. Yung pa naman, yung
Vietnam is fortifying its
Yes.
its islands.
yes.
Na detect na yun ng AMTI, the Asia Maritime Transparency
Tama.
Institute.
Ang Indonesia
Yes.
naman, mas fishing instead of drilling. Pero, talagang pinapasabog nila yung mga Chinese vessels na
Yes.
pumapasok sa teritoryo nila.
Pag pumasok sa kanila.
And they do it very publicly.
Very public yun, ha?
So
Very
mas
public.
matapang sila in a sense. Because they're not afraid
Yes.
to go head to head.
Oo, pero pag naging presidente ako, si Reg ang gagawin kong DFA para matapang din.
Hindi,
Iba mas
hindi
diplomatic.
Oy.
Parang professor di ba?
Nako. Well,
Mas diplomatic siya.
Diplomatic ako mostly.
Hindi yan diplomatic.
But on some issues, galit.
Kung laitin niya ako, hindi naman siya diplomatic sa akin.
Kasi pa naman, he makes himself the hero of every story. Hindi niyo ba napansin?
Hindi naman, 90% lang.
Every story, but going all the way to Aldous Huxley's time, siya pa rin yung
Tapos si
hero.
Macron yun, di ba?
Pati si Macron.
90%.
Pati si Macron, siningit pa rin niya sa
Siyempre, pati alam mo, yung wine na inom namin.
galing din kay Macron.
Yeah, hindi, galing sa akin. Kalisan wine.
Ah, okay.
Kalisan. Dahil yung kaibigan ko may vineyard. So, binigyan siya. Kalisan wine.
okay.
Sarap. No, dun sa...
Sorry, I can't relate.
Ano naman yun?
Ano ba yan?
Hindi na ako nagsalita ng French, baka ma-intimidate siya. So, English lang.
Sige nga, tanong nga si Macron kung talaga silang siya ng
C'est moi,
tao.
c'est moi.
Oo naman, ng asawa niya on the plane.
Sa
Obvious
aeroplano.
naman eh.
Tanong mo nga talaga, hindi, ano daw eh. Ano lang daw yan
Hindi,
eh.
yung
Playful
asawa.
lang.
Ay,
Hindi,
nako.
tsaka yung asawa niya, principal na yun eh.
Principal. Oo
Principal
nga.
siya.
Teacher
na
niya yun. Teacher niya yun.
Literally,
Yeah, it's
di ba,
true.
mami?
Hindi, totoo.
Oo.
It was his
Totoo.
It was his teacher.
Napagalitan yung asawa. Sinampal.
Buti hindi, hold out your hands.
Bata.
Oy.
Magayos ka, bata. Parang ganun yung ginawa ni nung asawa, di ba?
Okay, talking about DFA, si DFA Secretary Tess Lazaro wala kanina sa Strat-Based Forum because she is in KL for the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting.
Yan,
where she
hinihintay
met
namin yung resulta niyan.
where she met,
Ngayon.
well, may nakuha na kami. She met, obviously, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and also her counterpart in Japan, Foreign Minister Iwaya Takeshi. This is the first time the three of them met. And
Yes.
according to the bits and pieces that we got, of course, everybody talked about deepening commitment, deepening cooperation in terms of maritime defense, etc., etc.
Walang ironclad ngayon, ironclad
Hindi,
wala.
na-mention ni Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson kanina. She was,
Ironclad.
the U.S. stands shoulder to shoulder with the Philippines. This is an ironclad commitment. We are ironclad allies bound by shared values, if I recall correctly. But anyways, interesting yung meeting ni
Di alloy, iron.
Iron. Interesting yung meeting ni Sec Lazaro because that's where na-meet niya si Marco Rubio, and Rubio was the one who first broke the news that President Marcos is going to
Pupunta.
Washington, D.C. Although hindi niya... hindi
Nakakapagtaka, no? Bigla-bigla.
Bigla
Parang
eh.
bigla yung
Exactly.
Parang
announcement.
wala lang.
Exactly.
Lumitaw.
Exactly.
Tsaka mahalaga yun.
Hindi ba? Usually kapag ganyan,
Correct.
kailangan matagal yung preparation. You have to book hotels.
Yeah.
You have to arrange flights.
Correct.
Biglaan.
Saka yung
So-
terbang hangin tuwing pupuntang Washington, lahat yan maghahanap muna ng visa or whatever,
Correct.
di ba?
Yeah.
Tsaka Ami, mahalaga yung meeting na yan dahil when I was there last
Kasabay
April,
nung sa tariff.
baka magalit na naman si Principal. When I was there last April, I met 4 ministers
Oh, siya na
ni
naman.
Anwar Ibrahim.
Kita mo, I told
When I met-
you.
Alam mo ang kanila, as far as we're concerned, no, the only tension in the South China Sea is between Philippines
And the
China.
U.S.
And China.
In
ibig sabihin,
China, yeah.
Hindi sila
They don't
kasama.
see it as
As a
their
ten-
problem.
Hindi sila kasama dyan.
Oo.
Kaya yung presence niya ni Marco Rubio is very important.
Oo.
No? Dahil ibig sabihin,
He can get everyone together
baka may
and
swing sila.
consolidate. Oo.
Dahil when we met
China
them,
Hawk naman yun eh.
dahil when we met
Si
them,
Rubio.
apat yan na ministers ni Anwar Ibrahim. Sabi nila, as far as we are concerned, the only tension in the South China Sea is between Philippines and China. Ibig sabihin, hindi kami kasama dyan sa away
Correct.
nila yan.
Ever since naman, a lot of the ASEAN countries don't
Yeah.
see it as their problem, except for the ones who are claimant states, right? Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines,
Mga coastal states.
Brunei, right?
Pero yung Cambodia, Laos,
Wala,
they're on China's side.
they're heavily indebted to China because China invests a lot
Ang
in
problema,
these
by
countries.
Kaya hindi
Consensus
naman
sa-
inaagaw yung
They don't invest in
territorio nila
South
ng
China Sea.
China.
Yeah. But,
Magandang
yun-
i-monitor yan, yung visit ni Marco Rubio.
Oo, pero yun nga, tama si Ami, it's very curious kasi bigla na lang itong in-announce.
Yes.
So we suspect
Yeah, that's so sudden for a US visit.
Correct. So we don't think it's a
Bigla,
state
bigla.
visit. So mukhang hindi full state visit o mukhang working visit lang. And
Yeah.
and baka he only agreed to it, Rubio only agreed to it in KL right now. Right? That's how we're reading it. Kasi again, you're right. Normally, this would have been announced weeks in
Matagal
advance.
yan,
And
no?
may maririnig na tayo. Preparations pa lang, right? But,
Tayo, media, dahil kailangan magko-cover eh.
correct. Correct.
Hindi pa ina-announce yan long before.
Yes,
Kasi
correct.
mag-arrange ka nga ng hindi naman VIP mga media, no?
Oo,
Kailangan
correct.
mo mag-arrange ng hotel, ng flights.
Yes. So, wala
Kung
tayong
visa,
narinig.
kung walang visa.
Oo.
Ngayon, you will be scrambling kung makakahabol ka pa. Lapit-lapit na yan eh.
Yeah.
Oh, may ilang media na VIP.
Sino?
Yung pinag-usapan namin kanina eh.
Nako, don't go down that path.
So what's the cause of this? I mean, what's the catalyst?
Well,
of this? Was
well,
it the tariff issue or
Yeah, partly tariff, partly ay siguro
Partly
nakapag-settle
tariff.
down na sila. Before kasi may power struggle between the Hawks and the Doves.
Between Elon and the rest of the
between Elon Musk and Marco Rubio. And nawala si Elon Musk.
Oh.
So tingin ko bumalik sila sa normative na attitude ng US sa China, similar dun sa posisyon ng Democrats.
kasi it could be
Which is to contain China. No? Tingin ko may ganun kasing settling down. Before kasi may power struggle eh. Magkaiba si Elon Musk, magkaiba sila.
Marami
Marco
negosyo
Rubio.
yun dun eh.
Oo, marami negosyo. Tama.
Kasi it could be good timing for us eh. That's 10 days before yung August 1 na implementation ng tariffs na 20%.
No, but the last point I wanted to make about the timing, bakit curious, is remember this is just a week before SONA.
The sauna,
Parang
yes.
biglang nilabas si lalabas si BBM, si President Marcos, a week before the SONA. That's
Normally,
Yes,
ganyang
yes.
a
That's
few days
very
before the
curious.
sauna, yung presidente, nire-review na niya kung ano
Kaya
yung mga
nga,
gagawin niya.
this is-
Ano i-announce niya,
Tingin ko kanya.
legislative agenda niya.
Tingin ko affirmative action yan.
Magpa-practice na yan actually ng delivery ng speech normally.
correct.
Ano, hindi kasi
Although I
pwedeng
don't think si Digong nagawa na.
Yeah,
hindi kasi pwedeng wala siyang scaling up sa zona na ito eh.
correct.
After the problems ng election ng midterm, after nung pagbaba ng kanyang approval rating, after nung parang
After his fifth PCO secretary.
fifth for the pinag-uusapan namin, Ami.
Paiksi ng paiksi yung ano, no?
Yung tenure.
Ami,
Yung ano, yung
nakakita
shelf
ka ba
life.
na in 3 years,
Yung shelf life.
nakakita ka ba, Ami, na in 3 years, 5 PCO ang nagpalit?
Oo nga eh.
Yung ilan nangyari yan?
Tinanong nga namin si Ed yung bago rin, may bago ding spokesperson yung, yung National Security Council. Sabi ko, may problema ba kayo sa communication?
hindi lang pala AFP chief ang revolving door eh. Pati pala PCO.
Spokesperson.
Revolving door policy din sila.
At yung dalawa sa kanila, tinapon sa Meko.
Magkikita sila
pareho.
sa Mego.
Parehong Meko.
Oo.
Tatanungin ko yung mga Taiwanese, ano ba tingin nyo dyan?
na hindi embassy
Oo.
Dahil sa
Yeah.
ating One China policy, wala tayong embassy sa Taiwan.
Which actually makes your work
Yeah.
easier because you don't have to do the policy side. Puro economic lang, right? You only talk to businessmen who want to do business
Saka
here.
sa OFW,
actually, it's
dami
easy.
So,
nating
pag presidente
taon.
ako sa gustong i-appoint kita,
Sa Meko.
Meko o sa DFA?
Sa Meko.
Meko.
Deped nga eh.
Meko.
Ay, nako. But
Pero
anyways,
also, imagine mo rin kasi, if the president is able to successfully bring down the tariff rates from 20, going down lower,
Yun ang SONA.
magandang iso na yun.
Yun ang zona niya.
Lalo na kung significant. Kasi Vietnam, nababa niya eh.
ay nako.
Nababa yung
Okay.
Vietnam eh. From 46 nung April, 20%.
Actually,
Karango natin ngayon.
Actually, in the balance sheet, kayang ibaba. Dahil may trade surplus ang US sa atin.
Oo nga eh.
Hindi tayo ang may
Siya na
trade
nga
surplus sa
nakakapunta dyan
US.
eh.
Kaya natawa ko doon
Sila
sa
may
letter eh.
surplus sa atin.
Di ba nabasa mo
I
letter? It was funny, no?
It was
talaga.
it was very critical of the Marcos, of the Philippines, right? So
Pero parang
here's
kanya na generic letter sa lahat eh.
But you
okay.
have to hand it to the writer ng letter kasi parang, napaka-diplomatic, parang after reading the letter, parang, I don't know if I was supposed to feel good.
Hindi, pero sa letter
Hindi
kasi,
sabi.
sa letter
Our
kasi,
trade is not reciprocal.
pag gumanti kayo,
Yeah,
pag gumanti
may
kayo,
threat doon.
pag tinaasan nyo yung
There was a
tariff sa mga
threat.
We'll
US
add
goods,
that to your 20%.
idadagdag namin sa 20%. Kaya tawa ko lang tawa.
Oo.
Pero the way it was written was parang
Hindi, parang bata, yung nambubuli
Kaya
sa
nga,
playground.
exactly.
Diba sa
But
playground?
that's how
Threat yung
Trump's
dulo niya,
official letters sound. Sorry, Ami, what were you saying?
Yeah, it was a threat, di ba? Sa
Oo,
dulo.
may veiled,
Hindi
may
pwedeng
threat.
kapag nag-reciprocate kayo, dadagdagan namin yan.
Pero,
kung ano man yung idagdag
ipapatong
nyo sa
namin
amin,
dyan.
Yeah, pero-
idadagdag namin dyan.
Pero Ami,
Di ba, that's a threat?
pagpunta ng presidente ron, tapos umupo na sila, as ipapaliwanag mo na, teka, baka mali yung data nyo. Kayo yung may surplus sa amin. Hindi
nga
kami.
Okay.
Hindi kami. So, pwedeng babaan yon. Pwede pang below 10%.
And then he can bring the bacon home.
Oh, yes.
Here
He
is what.
gets the bacon.
Okay, since you brought up the tariff issue, which makes me angry. Okay, here is what you're missing about the tariff issue. Number one, April 2. Was it 2 or 4? So-called Liberation Day, when he
Yata,
announced the first round of tariffs. July kahapon, when they announced 20%. In that time, there were talks ongoing between the Philippines. In
Nawala
fact,
ako.
a day before
Yeah.
lumabas yung letter from Trump, Yusek Claire Castro
Was very
said,
optimistic.
yes,
Things
he
are
was
looking
saying
up.
things are looking up. Oh, our talks with the White House are going well. We're fairly confident we'll be able to bring the tariff rates down. And then the next day, biglang sinabi ng White House, oh no, you're up to 20% now. That was a slap in the face,
Baka better if
right?
you didn't
Let's
negotiate
be honest.
Alam mo, Reg,
So but my point so pangalawa, my point being, they were caught off guard. We were caught off guard by this increase. So what does that say about our relationship with a
Alam mo-
longtime ally
alam mo,
if you don't know
yes.
what's coming?
Alam mo, mangyayari yan. Kaya pupunta yung presidente ron. Alam na nila na willing na i-improve yung letter na yan. Kaya nga presidente mismo ang pupunta. Tapos, ang lalabas dyan, confidence building nga ng US kay BBM. At si BBM
Pababa
naman, gagamitin niya yan sa kanyang zona.
Oh,
Parang
leverage.
hindi pwedeng sobrang ma-weaken si BBM, lalo na ngayon na may conflict sa China. So tingin ko, meron na yung backdoor na, tinaasan muna yung banat, pero willing silang bumaba.
You scheming, ha? You scheming.
Ganun yung, tingin ko, ganun yung isip dyan. Dahil, pag upo nila, makikita nila, teka, tayo may trade surplus, 11 billion. Diba?
But remember, yung numbers that Trump based it on are questionable
Oh,
as
Exactly.
well.
weird formula.
Yeah, they made up their own formula,
Exactly.
right? So,
But there's a method in the madness. Diba? Ang ginagawa kasi niya, disruption eh.
ikaw yung nagsabi
kayo.
nito, yung flip the table strategy.
Oh,
Like, let's
guguluhin
flip the table.
kayo. Tapos uupo kayo, mas maganda yung kanya makukuha deal. Pero hindi yung original na crazy, di ba? Yung mahad, no? Yung ginawa niya nung Liberation Day.
Yeah.
Pero lahat nagulo.
Of course, everybody sat up and took notice.
Yeah, and everybody was
everybody
prepared to
scrambled.
negotiate.
So,
Tingin ko ganun yung gagawin sa atin. Ako, I'm almost 80% sure may makukuha siya. Na lower dito sa letter na yan.
but the point is not the numbers per se. Even if it's 20%, even if it's 17%, the point is, the rules of the game have changed,
Definitely,
right? So
definitely.
why are we still getting caught off guard?
Definitely.
So why aren't we
Ibang
prepared
usapin
for
yun.
that?
Ibang usapin yun. Pero
Right?
tingin
Why
ko,
do you not have long-term vision na Liberation Day pa lang nung in-announce na niya, ma-realize mo, okay, the world has changed, we cannot rely on our allies the same way we used to, so let's re-strategize. Bakit ngayon lang palang
hindi pa kasi
nagre-respond?
natin gobyerno yan eh. Pag gobyerno na natin yan, pwede na tayo mag-strategize. Wala namang strategy ngayon eh.
Alam mo,
diba? Nagpalit nga ng...
Ronald Tulio na. May expedition
Nagpalit ng communications head 5 times.
Ah, okay.
Hindi mo nakikita yung... Tapos hihingin mo mag-strategize.
Okay, sorry.
Tactics
I'm just
lang nga,
saying.
problematic na eh. Ang sinasabi ko lang, dito sa ganitong klaseng arrangement, method in the madness, pagbalik ni Presidente, may dadalhin siyang beef.
Okay, well, even if
Bacon,
bumalik...
Bacon.
So,
It's
may
a bacon.
face saving dyan. May
Even
face
if
saving.
bumalik yan sa 17%, those figures don't account for that much. What's important at this point is certainty moving forward kasi yung business community, they're all on hold, wait and see anong mangyayari. And that's what's holding back investments.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So again, ito na yung, this is why I'm asking for a long-term strategy
Baka
na...
mas gusto niya yung optics before yung investments. Diba?
okay.
Alam mo, ang
And
kanilang
the service-
strategy ngayon are all low-hanging fruits.
Okay.
No,
Siya nagsabi na.
there's no strategy to improve production. There's no strategy to improve investment. Wag mong kalimutan, last year pinag-uusapan natin $100 billion in investment.
Oh, with the Luzon Economic Corridor.
Diba?
Ano na nangyari doon?
Ngayon, tahimik na, di ba?
Well,
Puro commitment lang naman yon.
Di ba? Kung ikaw ang investor, tapos makikita mo yung gulo rito, no? Very intense yung away politically. Tapos yung comparative advantage natin, ang layo sa Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, tsaka Vietnam. Saan ka pupunta? If you were,
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point.
Whereas kung merong unity,
Unity.
Unity.
Is the answer.
May isa pang taga-ibang, taga-alien dyan, katabi ikaw, Ronald.
ano ba,
Isa
ease
pa
of
dyan
doing
katabi
business.
ng alien.
O sabi mo yung mga foreigners, ilan yung pipirmahan nila? Ilan yung kakausapin nila?
Kaya nga.
Diba?
Kaya nga.
Ganun ba na bagay?
That's exactly Frederick Secretary Go's expertise, right? That's what he's trying to fix. Pero
Hindi nga malinaw kung ano powers niya.
But-
Pwede ba siya mag-sanction ng mga cabinet secretary?
hindi ko sure, pero I have heard good things about what he's trying to do in terms of ease of doing business. Pero I have to point out na yung trip niya next week to DC, pre-planned yon. This was before... this was before Trump
Letter.
announced...
Yeah.
Trump announced 20% tariff. So parang nagkataon lang na mayroon silang trip next week. And again, that's very reactive, isn't it?
Hindi, kaya nga pag presidente ako, i-appoint kita dahil hindi ka reactive. No? At hindi ka puro good intentions lang. No? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. No? Ang kailangan dito, key result areas. Yun yung hindi ko pa nakikita. Diba? Anong kaya
Yung ease
mo?
of doing business, napakahirap niya. Simula sa barangay, ano na yan red tape na eh.
Oo, at may humihingi na.
Ang ano ng mga agency natin is fundraising eh.
Correct.
Yan ang problema. It's not to enable the investments or to empower the people, it's to raise funds. Either for their office or for themselves. Yan ang problema natin.
Yung dati yung
May mga-
proposal sa processing zones, export processing zones. Parang dito, affirmative action. Yung kuryente, yung tubig, no, yung infrastructure, mas maayos. Ang problema, parang naging kanyan pockets, islands. No, hindi naging dominant sa ating economy. Yung ganyang klaseng best practices. Yun yung naging problema. No? Somewhere along the way, ang daming bara. May bara sa DTI, may bara sa DOF, may bara sa local government. Yun yung marami yung mga bara. Kaya
Well, I don't know. We'll see. Well, DTI, kasama si DTI sa DTI Sec Cristina Aldeguer-Roque
Yes.
sa trade delegation next week. We'll see what they come back with. Again, we don't think it's going to be a full state visit. Mukhang working visit
Working
lang. Ay,
visit.
mukhang biglaan lang.
working visit.
Ito na
Yung
natawag.
DTI ba, nag-guess na natin dito?
Hindi pa,
Hindi
but
pa.
I know Kathy had a sit-down interview with Sec Roque kanina. I'm just not sure what came off it.
yun lang, the last time we negotiated, tumaas yung tariff rate. So, hopefully this time that we negotiate, hindi tataas ulit.
Yeah. Ngayon pa rin, kung sinasabi mo strategy pa rin ngayon, yung matagal na strategy, OFW, remittances, consumption.
Yung OFW na yan,
yun
alam
pa
mo
rin
ba, this big beautiful bill that Trump passed has a 1% remittance tax. So I know 1% on the face of it sounds like it's a little. Pero pag in-add mo yun, how much do we get from remittances every year?
Nagbabago.
26,
From,
24? What's 1% of that? That's still a lot of money, right?
Yun
So-
if you feed sa ating economy.
Kaya nga.
Yun ang papatakbo
It's
natin.
it's a lot of money still.
Kaya
So,
yung ating economy is basically consumption. Mga bumibili.
Correct.
At saka government spending.
Correct.
Diba? Yun yung...
And
Pero-
private sector spending,
Yes.
which is a bit stalled right now kasi nga there's a lot of uncertainty
Yes.
over policies, over tariffs, over oil prices. A lot of uncertainty everywhere you look.
Pero yung hinihingi mo sa TGIC, wala. No? Yun yung wala.
I'm sure meron. I just,
Ang meron-
siguro hindi lang ako privy to it.
Yun, sa kuweba ko pa rin. Niniwala ka na meron.
Okay, we have to take a gap now. You're watching
Nasaan yung meron na yun?
You're watching Storycon on One News. We just need to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Right,
Stay with
yeah.
us.
We've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay, still with us. Ami Pamindon of the Philippine Star and Ronald Llamas, our resident political heckler. Pandit. Some days it's pundit, some days it's
breaking
heckler.
story. The Supreme Court is asking both chambers to submit more information on the impeachment complaints filed with the House. 1, 2, 3. Yung fourth kasi yung pumasa eh. Yung fourth yung pumasa at saka...
Yung status ng tatlo. Parang gano'n.
Yung status ng tatlo. Pangalawa, kung may kapangyarihan ba talaga yung Secretary General to delay or defer the transmission of the first three to the Speaker's office.
Because the SecGen ay hindi organic eh. siya ay parang empleyado. He cannot represent, practically in this case, yung buong Kongreso. Yun yung argument ng House. Tapos ikalawa ay naka-comply ba doon sa 10 session day rule, no? Yung impeachment complaint. Dahil sabi nila 10 days hindi na comply. Sabi ng House, yes, hindi kasi 10 day ang bilangan eh. 10 session days. Magkaiba 'yon, no?
Saka I think Bok, yung 10 days is in reference to yung it's from the SecGen to the Speaker to refer to the Justice Committee in 10 days, ba?
Yes.
Or yun yata yun, in 10 days to refer
Ang
to
ginawa
the Justice
rito,
Committee.
pinagbotohan na. So, hindi na kinakailangan dumaan sa Justice Committee. Ganun yung nangyari.
But yung, I think, well, ang question kasi ng Duterte side is the first 3 bumara doon kay SecGen, hindi umusad. But the rules of the House, at least for impeachment, the rules of the House says na the SecGen should transmit to the Speaker's office the complaints.
Within 10 session days.
Hindi. Iba yung 10 days po. Yung 10 days is from the Speaker to the Justice Committee. Yung rules ng House on impeachment says that the SecGen has to transmit to the Speaker's office immediately.
Forthwith.
Oo, parang forthwith. Walang nakalagay kung ilang araw. Immediately. So it's open to interpretation of
Yes.
immediately is.
Pero yung forthwith, hindi open sa interpretation.
Oh.
Bottom line is
But these are the internal
There's-
rules of the
Yes.
House.
still questioning on grounds of the 1-year bar.
The 1-year
rule.
bar.
Bottom
Pero-
line, they're still questioning valid by enforced complaint based
So,
on the
umuusap
1-year
Pero
pa rin
bar.
sa
on its
process where may
face,
ano.
itong nilabas ng Supreme Court ay hindi judgment.
No, it's not a
It's a
judgment.
query.
Oo.
Sa query.
Parang submit
Asking them
comments.
to
Yes.
respond.
Submit more comments.
Oo.
Yes.
Okay, Bok, let's cambio tayo. May breaking story pa tayo. The search and retrieval operations for missing sabongero sa Taal Lake has resumed this afternoon after a delay due to inclement weather. For the latest, we have News 5 correspondent Camille Samonte. Camille, nandiyan ka ba ngayon sa Taal?
Yes, Bok, dito pa rin tayo sa Taal Lake sa may Laurel, Batangas. At natapos na nga yung ikalawang batch ng technical dive na iginawa ng Philippine Coast Guard. At dito nga sa ikalawang technical dive na ginawa nila ay kinuha na nila yung ilang sako na nauna nilang nakita sa palaisdaan nga kung saan nga natukoy na posibleng itinapon yung ilang bangkay ng mga sabongero. So ngayon, Bok, nakaantabay pa tayo sa Philippine Coast Guard para nga kumpirmahin kung ilan yung sako na ito at kung ano ang laman ng mga ito. Bok?
Bok, quick question lang. I know kailangan ng scientific examination para malaman if these are human bones. On the other hand, kasi kung may makita kang bungo,
Tao na yan.
malamang tao yun. Wala bang ganong indicator so far na obvious, like a large femur?
Yung skull.
Oh, the skull. A large femur. Kasi I don't think any other creature has a femur as big as ours eh.
Oo, pinapakita ba sa inyo, Camille, yung mga bones?
Oh, Bok, yung part kasi na yan, hindi pa rin nga kasi binubuksan itong sako sa harap ng media. So wala kaming clear idea kung ano laman ng sako at kung anong itsura nito. In fact, we're not even sure kung buto nga ba talaga yung
Okay,
laman ng
that's
mga
fair.
sako. From where we are standing kanina doon sa site nung malapit sa palaisdaan, ang nakikita lang namin is yung pag-dive ng mga PCG diver at yung sako na nung inaahon na at nung nilagay na nga nila ito sa body bag. At dinala na nga dito sa staging area ng PCG.
Camille, meron ka ba nakikita na parang forensic team dyan? Aside sa police, aside sa Coast Guard, yung talagang
Protect
medyo,
evidence.
medyo technical, yung parang napapanood natin sa sine, yung NCIS type, na yun lang ang trabaho nila. Isuriin ito, yung pathologist.
Marami na ring personnel ng SOCO na nandirito. Meron na ring mga NBI agents. Nasabi na rin kasi kanina ni DOJ Assistant Secretary Vico Clavano na nagpadala sila ng NBI agents nga who will be designated for the forensic. In fact, kasama din yung prosecutor as a witness bago nga iahon itong mga sako dahil hindi raw kasi basta-basta pwedeng tanggalin itong mga sako dahil posible nga itong magamit bilang ebidensya sa crime scene at kung mag-materialize ay pwede itong magamit bilang ebidensya sa kaso.
Camille, yung area yan, I understand. Kasi napakalaki ng Taal, no? Diyan sila naghanap dahil tinuro yan nung whistleblower, no? Si Julie Patidongan. siya ang nagturo na diyan kayo maghanap. Tama ba yon?
Sabi ng DOJ, nagbunga nga ito nung testimonya ni Patidongan. Pero kinorroborate din nila yung statement na yan sa iba pa nilang testigo at informant. Kaya naman after na makuha na nila yung mga testimony, nag-decide na nga sila na gawin na nga itong paghahanap para rin ma-validate itong pahayag na ni Patidongan.
Camille?
So what
Kasi
will...
yung area, hindi siya dun mismo sa lakeside pala, no? Medyo
malayo.
ano pa siya. Medyo malayo-layo pa siya. Gaano kaya kalalim yon
Fish
yung
pen.
napagkunan ng mga sako?
Ang sabi ni Clavano sa amin kahapon, the initial information is at least 30 meters yung lalim nung
90 feet.
area ng palaisdaan.
Lalim.
Oo. Kasi, itong area kasi na tinutukoy ni Patidongan, napapaligiran din kasi siya ng iba pang mga palaisdaan. Pero ito kung sa lugar na to, kung saan nakuha yung sako, medyo malapit ito sa Pangpang. Kaya nga nakapunta kami
Yes.
doon at nakapag-set up kami at nakunan namin yung actual na pag-retrieve ng mga sako.
Camille, anong nangyayari dyan sa Taal ngayon? Dahil marami diyang mangingisda Marami diyang mga fish pen. Halimbawa, yung fish pen na pinagkuhanan ng mga sako. Alam ba kung sino may-ari nun? Sinong katiwala? Paano hindi naman pwedeng itambak yung mga sako na yan na hindi nalalaman nung may-ari ng fish pen?
May katiwala dyan
Oo, at the minimum, meron dyan mga
Ronald,
tatlong
actually,
katiwala.
the DOJ has the information kung sino nga yung may-ari nitong palaisdaan at sinabi sa atin before ni DOJ Secretary Remulla na itong tao nga daw ito ay kasama siya doon sa bilang sa subcontractor. Kumbaga ito daw talaga ay pinaka-target area kung saan dinadala nga itong mga sabongero para nga patayin. Pero hindi kasi, Ronald, dinisclose sa atin ng DOJ kung sino yung may-ari na yan ng palaisdaan. At doon naman sa una mong tanong, kamusta yung mga mangingisda rito, yung mga lokal dito, ay talagang nag-aalala sila, Ronald, dahil apektado yung kanilang hanap buhay. Nagkakaroon din kasi ng parang perception na yung mga isda na nakuhuli nila dito ay baka yung kalidad dahil nga daw may mga di umanong bangkay na itinapon dito sa Taal Lake. So, umaasa yung mga lokal na sana ay mapapilis at agad na matapos na itong paghahanap.
Baka makontaminated daw. Camille, so what's gonna happen this weekend? Ilan pang dives are we expecting, and are they going to continue through the weekend or next week na ulit?
Red, sabi ng Philippine Coast Guard, hanggat maganda yung lagay ng panahon ay posibleng araw-arawin na nila yung paghahanap. But normally, very early in the morning, nagsisimula na sila dun sa dive at around 3 or 4 p.m. doon nag-e-end yung kanilang search. So hanggat may nakikita sila at may makikita or makukuha ay ipagpapatuloy daw nila yung paghahanap.
So in the meantime, yung mga sako na nahanap, they will send back to the city for DNA testing, pero they will continue to dive, tama ba?
Yes, Reg, mukhang ganun yung mangyayari. Kung initially makita nila na itong mga laman nga ng sako ay sabihin natin, kung buto nga ito, then possible ay ganun ang mangyari. In fact, nagpunta rin dito yung ilang kaanak ng mga nawawalang sabongero at umaasa nga sila na sana daw yung mga makukuha ngayon ay yung kaanak na nila at para makapaghanda na rin sila kung sakaling hingin yung for DNA matching. So, yan yung mga proseso na mga aabangan natin.
Okay.
Camille, I have a...
Camille, yung skeletal remains ba sunog? Sunog ba yan?
Yung kahapon na nakita sa sako na natagpuan nila sa gilid ng Pangpang, yun yung parang doon sa photo, based on the photo na was given to us, yun yung parang maitim siya, parang sunog. Pero again, ito nga, yung mga bagong sako na nakuha, wala pa tayong idea kung buto ang laman yan at kung anong itsura.
Camille, in reference to that picture that I think you're referring to, may mga pumunan na mukhang yung apparent mga buto, although hindi pa tayo clear doon kung buto talaga, yung mukhang mga buto, nilabas sa sakong original, tapos nilagay doon sa ibang sako para na malinis ang itsura para may contrast doon sa picture. So may mga concerns yung iba na aren't we contaminating the evidence if
Contaminating.
at all? just for the photos. I don't know if that's the case nga, pero may ganong criticism kasi obviously yung pinagpatungang sako ng mga mukhang buto sa sobrang linis mukhang hindi siya yung original na sako.
Sabi mo kasi kanina, Camille, hindi pa pinapakita sa media yung laman ng sako. Pero yung sinasabi ni Ed, may lumalabas na pinakita.
Ito yung kahapon ata na
So,
picture na.
so ano ba talaga?
Yes, actually, that video came from Department of Justice, yung video na hawak-hawak ng dalawang PCG diver yung sako. Hindi natin na-kumpirma kung yung sako ba na yun ay bago. At in fact, hindi nga rin malinaw kung inanod ba ito o itinapon mismo dun sa lugar kung saan ito nakita. Kaya nga rin nagdesisyon ng Department of Justice nang mag-report ang PCG kaninang umaga na may nakita silang mga sako. Nagdesisyon ng DOJ na huwag munang galawin yan, markahan yan, hintayin ng NBI agents at ang prosecutor. Kailangan nandyan sila to witness yung pag-retrieve nga nitong mga
to be
sako.
more careful chain of evidence. Tapos, pangalawa, Bok, paano yung kalakaran dyan? They're looking for sacks to bring up or they're looking for, I suppose yun ang nangyayari kasi hindi nila namang laman tama ba? Pag may makita siyang sako sa ilalim, yun ang inaangat nila. Yun ang nire-recover nila.
Bok, yung sa pagsisid naman kasi nila, titignan talaga nila kung ano yung pwedeng makita. Ang assume lang natin is that itong mga sako yung pinaka siguro sa mababaw na area ng pag-dive nila na agad nilang nakita. Kaya yun yung na-report nila. Kaya nga rin, umaasa rin yung PCG na magamit na rin nila yung ibang pang equipment para mas mapadali yung kanilang paghahanap. At least yung may capacity na, alam mo yung kayang umabot ng mas malalim pa.
Okay.
Camille, i-follow up ko lang yung question kanina ha. Yung nakuha kahapon, yung unang-unang batch, nakuha ba yung sako o nakuha yung remains?
Ibalik natin yung picture. May picture tayo kanina nilabas
Na-dig up ba yung buto at nilagay na lang sa sako o nakuha yung sako
Na may laman.
at binuksan?
Ami, yung detalye na yan ang patuloy pa rin natin hanggang sa mga oras na ito ay hinihinga ng konfirmasyon dahil hindi pa rin nga nagbibigay ng pahayag itong Philippine Coast Guard. At ang DOJ din, wala rin silang pinovide na detalye dun sa mga specific details nga itong sako at kung paano nakuha.
Posible rin, Ed, Ami, na yung isa ay nabuksan at na-realize nila mistake, yung iba ay hindi na pinabuksan.
Yung today's mukhang dyan
The
muna
rest,
kayo.
parang hindi na ginagalaw
Magandang may ganong realization
So you don't contaminate the evidence.
At least the others. So, we're not being
Kasi
maldita here.
kung tao yan, kung hindi naman sinunog, baka may makitang buhok. Di ba? To show kung tao nga. Kung hindi sinunog
Again, Ami, kailan nangyari yan, allegedly?
2021 to 2022
So,
Matagal masira ang buhok
So hindi pa bago yung gobyerno. It was the previous government. At yung mga pulis na posibleng involved dyan ay pwedeng may iba pang mga involvement.
Ano kumpanya yun kaya binan ni Duterte yung isabong because of that scandal.
Tama, 2022 was when he banned
Between
Isapo.
April 2021 yan and January 2022, yung 34. Yung 108 na sinasabi ni Patidongan, hindi natin alam kung kailan nangyari yun.
So, kung kasi yan
Yes,
dahil ang tanong
wala
ng mga...
talagang
Andyan ako kahapon sa
impormasyon. Wala
Tagaytay.
tayong impormasyon na nakuha dyan sa specific detail na yan kung anong petsa, anong taon itinapon itong mga bangkay. Itong lugar lang talaga yung kanyang itinuro.
Okay. Pakulaan si Camille.
Yes.
Maraming salamat, Camille Samonte,
Thank you,
News 5
Camille.
correspondent. Yun, so ano ka na?
Yeah,
Ikaw,
dahil
kung saan na pupunta.
nagbigay ako ng talk sa Tagaytay. Tapos yung mga tao ron, yan ang pinag-uusapan. Una, yung concern nila dun sa fishing, sa Taal. No? Ikalawa ay, parang kinukuha nila ay, yung mga hinuli ba na pulis ng DOJ ay mga sanay sa ganyang klase ng operasyon. Ibig sabihin, nililink nila ngayon sa AJK. No, ganun yung usap-usapan dun sa lugar.
Talaga naman ganyan mga
That was
pulis
ano
natin,
eh.
panahon pa ng unang Marcos, ganun na.
Minamasahe ko na nga eh.
Si Ami.
Minamasahe ko na nga. Ito naman si...
Diba? Dati tinatambak sa Manila Bay nilalagay sa drum eh. Ngayon nilagay sa Taal Lake.
Ngayon sako na lang, ganun.
Dahil kunyari,
Ngayon sako na lang, cheap na. Dati
delicate
nilalagay nila na semento, yung
Oo.
ano, yung
De-
drum.
deli-
So, may
Di mo na
semento nga.
makukuha.
May semento nga.
Yung dati, mag-drum, sinisemento sa drum.
Ngayon, ngayon sako na lang.
Anong kasi nila, bakit very focused dyan yung DOJ? Meron ba yung political context? Parang gano'n eh. Yung isang angulo. Bakit very focused sila sa issue na yan?
May binigay
You're
tayo, no?
Tinutugtugan na kayo, tinutugtugan na
you're
kayo.
saying it's may political
Si-
motivation
si-
behind
Dahil
it.
nangyari yan sa previous government eh, 2021.
So it's another thing to pin the previous government on.
Oo, parang tinitingnan nila, meron bang itong relasyon doon sa
Bok,
mga
di-
EJK na nangyari dati?
The other night, si Justice Secretary Boying Rimulya interview with the Pinky Web sa Billionario said that na mukhang daw itong mga pumunta sa mga sabungeros were also heavily involved in the drug war.
Yun yung
Although wala sa binigyan na ebidensya, I mean, parang just in passing na binanggit eh.
parang
So,
1
hindi
plus
na pusisi
1
eh.
plus 1. May ganun eh.
So may nagko-connect ng dots ngayon.
Yes, yes. Pero ano ba naman tayo? Hindi ba natin alam yan? Hindi nga natin alam kung ano naman nasa ako, di ba?
Oo, heckler lang tayo,
Oh,
heckler.
heckler lang. Although si Ami, sabi niya dati sa Manila Bay.
Nasa drop.
Dati sa Manila Bay.
Ano ba yan? Ay na naman tayo. We're gonna end on such a
Doon sa
dour note.
dagat-dagatan, bago
Friday.
yun ano.
We're gonna end.
Bago ni-reclaim yung dagat-dagatan yun, tambakan yun dati.
Nadagdagan pa eh.
We're gonna end on such a ghastly note. Yung ghastly.
Happy weekend! Happy weekend!
Happy weekend na. It's
Kayo mga taga-Philippine Star, mga ano kayo, very
Happy
bad
weekend! Happy weekend! Oh, ang ganda pa naman.
Happy weekend,
Ganda pa naman ang
everybody.
kulay ni Ami ngayon. Parang kalamansi.
Parang cocktail eh.
Masim.
Thanks for joining
Masim.
Storycon today. Ami Pumintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. Ronald Llamas, a resident political heckler. Join us again Monday, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lay. Happy
I'm Ed
weekend.
Mingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.